I think one of the big challenges that I had to overcome was always there was some sensitivity around where I was from and where I had grown up. And you'd hear things, in the hallway, or you'd sometimes hear things squarely in a meeting because people would be oblivious that you were in the room. And there would be stories that would be none too kind to Latinos, Hispanics. And you had to think about how would you actually deal with this. And you had to choose your time in terms of when to correct somebody and when not to. And then personally, to find a way to move through it. Now, I think my father, who at one point made the comment, and I'll say it nicer than he said it, but he said, in America, everybody's free to be an idiot. And he said, at the end of the day, it's not so much what they think today, but it's what they think in the future as they interact with you and others. So leave the best impression you possibly can and make sure that they can't deny that you deserve to be in that room. I think the real big challenge is that all of us, no matter where we came from, have a tendency to want to hire people who have experiences similar to our own. So if the goal is to hire more diverse people, we're saying we want to hire people who aren't like us. So we have to try extra hard to make sure we have diverse slates. We have to think about, well, where does that diverse talent develop and how do we reach out to those points of development? And then we have real challenges once we hire that diverse talent inside, our company or agency. And all too often, that talent is initially brought in to sort of meet a quota or meet a niche play. I know I resisted it early on in my career was, people said, oh yeah, we'll have you look at the Hispanic or Latino market, right? And what we need to do is, as leaders, is say, this isn't a niche, this is added value. And then similarly, as an individual who's diverse and operating, I think we need to push ourselves to realize that people are looking at us, and they're looking at us very closely. And we've got to make sure that we also deliver. This isn't just a gift. I can remember years ago when I was first trying to get a job on Capitol Hill, and my parents were really modest means. I mean, I had a parent that grew up in an orphanage. I had another parent that grew up on the streets in Spanish Harlem. And they weren't politically connected. And I'd knock on doors wanting an internship with a member of Congress. And then finally the questions would come to, who's your mother, who's your father? And then they'd say, nice young man, and kind of send me on my way. But I was persistent, and I kept asking questions. I kept looking for other avenues so that I could show exactly what I could do. And then once I got that opportunity, it was great. Now, in terms of students today or new people coming into the profession today who are diverse, they actually have many more opportunities than what existed back in the 1970s as I was coming in. But that said, I think be confident about the skills that you do have. Be confident, too, that you offer a great perspective that should be treated as value added by the agency or company that you're going to work for. And then even if they're not outwardly looking at that or telling you that that's what they're in part looking for, find ways to present that to them. Find ways to not just take what it is you're asked to do today, but how might I add value given my unique perspective, my unique experiences. And the fact is that the world is beginning to look more like those of us who are diverse than are not. I worked for a politician who, the U.S. Senator out of South Carolina, a Democrat, and he was looking at running for president potentially in 1984. And so we went in 1982 and 1983 on kind of a journey to learn about what you had to do. And we were in Atlanta, Georgia. And we had a chance to meet with Dr. Benjamin Mays, who then was the retired or the former president of Morehouse College. I got there a little early, and Dr. Mays saw me waiting outside his office, and he said, "Young man, can I help you?" I was in my 20s. And anyway, so I go into his office. I said, "I'm just here waiting for Senator Hollings." And he said, "Well, come on in." And you go into his office, and it was like a little museum. You know, there were pictures of him with heads of state. There were pictures of him with different civil rights leaders. He had been the mentor for Martin Luther King Jr. when he was an undergraduate at Morehouse. And so before this great man, I said, "So what word of advice do you give to young people?" And he said, without batting an eye, "Never stop learning." For me, that's been a very big impression in terms of how I lead my life and how I work. I always think that there's something else to learn. It's not done when you leave school. It's not done from your last experience. And if you keep pressing yourself to learn more about markets, learn more about publics and stakeholders, you'll become a better public relations professional.